Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I have been going back and forth with some really tense cult-like radfems, and they've been raging about a video where a mother promotes to her daughter that she is to she will take joy in bearing her husband children and serving him, okay, and serving his needs. So the radfems are raging about, how dare you, me, like, because I was like also like, I don't see the problem with that. And essentially the word serve really angers them. They say, why should a woman serve a man? Women are not meant to serve men. If when a woman serves her husband, it removes her identity. They heavily rage and seethe at the word serve. They don't want to serve a man. Okay? And some of them were claimed to be lesbians, which, YouTube won't allow me to discuss the domestic violence in lesbian marriages, civil unions rather. You're not allowed to point out certain things about the behavior traits of some of those groups. But I want to dig into the word serve. So, I have some notes here. To serve. To perform duties or services for another person or organization. To present food or drink. What's interesting is radfems will get very angry if you have to serve your husband. And if some of them are lesbian or bisexual, you're going to have to still serve your significant other that you chose to live with. You are serving their needs. You are providing duties to them. You're performing something for them. Taking out the trash, being there for their emotional needs. You are a financial provider. You are something. You fulfill a role. Okay? And when you get married, or when you enter into a relationship, you are now trying to be reciprocal in what you expect from that person. Treat others how you want to be treated, right? So you're going to serve whomever it is you pick. Alright? If you go to work as a radfem, you literally are going to serve your company. You're going to serve your customers. When I was a restaurant server, a waitress, we were called servers, I serve hospitality. I serve an experience, and I serve a function of being a conveyor belt of the values of the restaurant and of the meals ordered. Okay? That is my function. I have a function that is to serve the boss's desire for capital and the customer's desire for an experience to get the most of the money they were spending, right? So I am serving both a person and an organization as a server, okay? And a lot of people who work in the restaurant industry enjoy the finesse and the energy of hospitality, and they're like, if you traveled back in time, they would be a butler or a house chef or something like that. And you're gonna have to serve somebody in life. You can't just serve yourself and be selfish and expect the world to come to you. Okay? So the word serve, so you're gonna have duties for your husband and he will have it for you. Alright? If you will do no duties, you'll perform no dirty duties, no services, but you expect to have a man love you, that's not going to work. You are then the abuser. You are then the evil one, because you give nothing and expect everything. That's not a healthy relationship. So I looked at some synonyms for serve. So work for, be in the service of, perform duties for, be employed by, distribute, give out, dish up, dish out, deliver, distribute, provide, assist, and arrange. Now notice this. When you are a wife, you arrange the home. You arrange the table, the feast. You assist in mental peace and harmony in the home, and you assist him with what your husband needs. If he needs you to call somebody to, he wants you to schedule an appointment for him. If he requests you to do a task, to perform a duty, if you are able and you have the time, you do it. Even sometimes you're bored or you're angry, you had an argument, you still have to get on with your day, right? Just like when you go to work, you have to put your problems at the door and do the task. A customer calls you for customer service, you don't get to be a dick to them because you had some drama with your friend, right? You have to do your job. You gotta earn that paycheck. When you enter into a relationship, you earn that relationship. You want to maintain the relationship for the children and for yourself. Now, some of the rat fams contend they're happy with a plastic male toy tool and that is enough for them. In the end, this attitude of you don't need a man, men are evil, and it's terrible to perform duties and services for another human being isn't sustainable, okay? Because you have duties and things you do to serve your family. See, what's really strange about these rat fams is when you become a mother, you serve the needs of your children, okay? You become a wife. The whole role of a wife is to serve. The husband is to present financial security and safety for his woman amongst other things. He is to provide you a safe place to live, clean water to drink. He is to provide you with intimacy. He is to make sure that he's working for the family, okay? Working towards its survival, okay? He distributes his resources amongst you and the children so that everything can be smooth. And he gives you capital, gives you money, gives you some surplus of his wages, of his salary, so that you can also give to charity, give to, a small business, a startup. Your husband can give you a little bit of pocket money, you name it. There's so many different dynamics of the relationship. But you, as a wife, are not doing something dirty by serving a man. The imagery that comes to mind is one of abuse because of movies and because of women complaining and because of men failing to hold other men accountable, and for fathers for neglecting their children and being hypocrites. So again, to serve is performing duties, and you will agree with what your duties are going to be in the relationship. And if your man is doing a long commute, he's dealing with the hierarchy at work, the competitiveness, the backstabbing, the gossip, the dysfunctionality, the unpredictabilities that come in the workforce, he's dealing with all of that. If he simply asks you to pack him a good lunch, or if you could iron his shirt, or, maybe take the children over to see his mom, or some little thing, that's not a big deal, and marriages take work, okay? Marriages take work. And so to serve him is to provide this hospitable nature, to be nurturing, and not just to be a diva, Jezebel, occultic feminist witch sitting on her throne with 17 pounds of makeup and Botox and a BBL and these long claws and saying, listen here, I'll be nice. Listen here, oh man, you will prostrate at my heels. that type of submissive men caricature that some women think they want, those marriages really don't last very long. And a good example of that would be the streamer Destiny getting a divorce after he, allowed his wife to have an open relationship, and she ran off with a guy in Sweden. You can see that when a dominant female gets too submissive of a male who provides no boundaries and doesn't check her worst impulses, she craves somebody else, and it doesn't work out because it's not a safe way to raise a child. And if you love somebody, I'm going to put it this way. If you love somebody, it doesn't hurt you to serve them. But even if you don't love them, you're obligated to treat them with human dignity, and that involves serving. Okay? Doing a task, finishing a task, helping out, assisting, distributing things, delivering things, is not evil. You're in the service of multiple groups at one time. You're in the service of your nation even when you are obeying the laws. You're in service to your children, to your community. If you're religious, you're in service to your religion. That's why we say you don't want to do a disservice to this, and that by creating a negative stereotype for your particular community that you belong to. So, if you get married and you treat your husband like garbage and you don't want to do any duties, you don't want to provide any service with all the umbrella terms that go under there, you're doing a disservice towards marriage because you're helping to make women worse wives. Okay? You can be a strong woman and communicate your requests to your husband, right? Or let's put it this way, to your fiancé. You can communicate, I really want you to take out the trash. I want you to handle the business with the cars. I want to do this, you do that. Like, what do you think? And, okay, I agree with this or I agree with that. And you have a compromise. You have cooperation. You have reciprocation. And that will lead to admiration, which will then help you to not resent serving the needs of your husband. Because to give and not expect anything in return can work, but you don't want to overextend, right? You don't want to be running ragged for somebody who's not going to do it back for you. But when women are talking to their daughters about how serving a man can bring joy, that is true. If you love somebody, you want to serve them. And even, for example, you're going to serve the needs of your wounded animal. Even if that cat bites you, craps on itself, you're taking care of it, you still get satisfaction from helping something get better when it was ill, even if it can't tell you thank you. This sort of selflessness that some good women have in terms of doing anonymous acts of good to serve the community that they will not always be thanked for. There are thankless jobs. There are tasks that must be done regardless of if you get recognized for that or not. And when you get married, you owe it to that person who's a living, breathing human being to be on your best behavior, to try. Hold things in sometimes when you could go scorched earth, but you're like, you know what, it's just going to drag it out. Let me let it go. And then you owe it to them to talk about issues in a calm, rational manner where there isn't violence and domestic disturbances that make children afraid. So what I'm trying to get at here is when radical feminists say women shouldn't serve men, it's disgusting that women serve men. What they're really trying to say is that a woman shouldn't have to perform any duty or service, and she should never assist, she should never deliver anything, distribute anything. She just has to be a couch potato, diva, boss babe, who is purely selfish. purely selfish. And they don't think that that will add any rot to someone's soul. When you do kind acts for others and don't expect anything in return, that can actually heal a lot of your wounds. Community service helps criminals to realize that, hey, you know what? I live here. Maybe I shouldn't have committed these crimes. Community service hours for juveniles, like picking up trash on the freeway, and when they have to actually pick up that garbage, a lot of them become more cognizant of, maybe I shouldn't chuck garbage out the window, right? When somebody volunteers, they're giving a service of their time, they're performing duties. So if everyone had the attitude that no one has to serve anyone, even though they volunteered to be put into that contract, a lot of dysfunctionality would happen. You volunteered to get married. Marriage requires people trying. Children need a stable home, okay, of peace, harmony, wisdom, education, and nutrition. Two minds coming together from different backgrounds who both grew inside the wombs of different women, that is a very unique situation that takes work, that takes patience. And when you get married, your husband is going to do so many things that he don't want to do. I mean, the most cliche yet funny example is when you're on your period, you ask your husband, can we get pizza? Can I have, my favorite taco place? Or can I get some boba tea? Or can I da 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 da? And I just want to stay inside and hibernate. Like, whatever it is, your husband will cater to your needs. And if you have, like, let's say, you don't want to go out. You want to order DoorDash tonight because you just don't want to cook during your period. Your husband, he went out and worked. He gives you the money to buy that stuff. You have to think about how your husband has to go out there and deal with the women at work tempting him. He has to deal with the men trying to destroy him and take his place. And then if he comes home and he just has a couple things he asks of you, is it really a big deal to do something, that you don't always want to do? Each person has a task that they will have to do for someone that they don't enjoy doing. A nurse, for example, she is to serve the needs of her patients. Okay? She applied for the job. She wanted the job. She went to get educated for the job. When she signs up for that job, she's agreeing to the hospital and under the law that she is going to not do anything illegal or harmful to her patients. Okay? That means she's gonna have to clean up, messes or help do certain tasks that she may not want to do, but she has to do those duties. Okay? She has to be selfless sometimes. And that's why certain nurses get burnt out. And some gain more compassion. But either way, people have to serve someone. Us Muslims, we submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to submit is to do different, like charity is a service, right? So you do services when you submit, right? And when it comes to intimacy, that's a very difficult topic for a lot of women, right? But at the same time, let's put it the best way. There's ways where couples can work out their stuff together and both have patience and do what's best for their relationship at that time, right? The key point here, though, is that to serve the marriage is to serve each other, to cater to each other's needs, to want to see the other person happy, to like to be hospitable, to not cause chaos and meanness and viciousness in the home. Peace rejuvenates. Vicious, callous coldness doesn't. You don't have to be head over heels for your husband for 50 years in order for you to make sacrifices and to do what must be done, right? For example, when I had my C-section, my husband did the duties of the house chores because I literally just couldn't lift and it was so painful. The incision site. So he's going to work, long hours, cleaning the bathroom, and then helping with the children, and is seeing if I'm okay. That's a lot. And plus going to work out and, stuff like that. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And when I was unable to help myself, he had duties that he had to pick up. He had a duty to watch out for me and take care of me and ask me if I'm okay, checking on my incision, stuff like that. Think about it. Do you think that was easy for him? Right? For example, the husband has a duty to remain stoic in times of extreme stress, which is not easy. He can't be falling down, screaming, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and making his family afraid that he's incapable of being the leader. He has a duty to be the leader. And with that comes certain services and responsibilities that he must perform. Do you see how if you think as a entitled, selfish, vain, bitter, catty, nasty woman to be like, hey, I'm a radical feminist. You got to serve me. I'm a diva. There may be some man who has no deep connection to his mom who's gonna allow you to, put your claws in his back and just shred his masculinity, right? But at the end of the day, what you're doing is wrong, and that arises in your soul because you are not treating another human with honor, dignity, and virtue. That'll pollute you and make you worse, and I'd argue it's gonna show up in your relationships with other people, and obviously on Judgment Day you will be held accountable for that. All those nasty things you did to your husband are gonna come up. You cannot escape your accounting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swift in accounting. So think about it. You will perform tasks out of love and get rewarded for it. And you'll be rewarded for doing good to your husband and family and your marriage, even if sometimes he may not always thank you. Really examine that, okay? Like, my husband's duty is to lift the heavy things. I had some flower pots. He, lifted them, huge things up, mashallah, and dumped the dirt out. Did all that, And he performed that service for me. I mean, come on. Like, he could have just left it there when I wanted to rearrange it, I'm like, I want to plant different flowers. I want to change the soil. I want to do this. Can you do this, this, and that? And he's being the bronze of the outfit, like they say. So if my husband says, you know what? I want to have some seafood. Or tonight I want chicken. Is it really a big deal for me to do that? Like, am I going to be like, no, I don't need to serve no man. I don't care what you want. Go eat some Burger King. I don't cook. I don't clean. Man. What? No. That wouldn't be right. You cannot request for someone to do something for you and then expect to never have to do anything for them, or always doing a half-assed, bare bones, bare minimum job. You need to take pride in the service you give. Take pride in the duties and actions you perform. That's the better way. Let me know what you think. I can hear my little one's up from her nap. But you get the gist of what I'm talking about. So let me know. And if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there.